If you feel like you never have enough, whether it be time, money, energy, attention, then this video is for you. Today we're talking about how to make the most of all of your resources. So if that seems like something you're interested in, keep on watching. Welcome back, welcome to, if you're new, my name is Bria Perry and welcome to my channel. I run a brand called FinStyle where we encourage and empower individuals to live their life on purpose with purpose. If that seems right for you, please consider joining the FinStyle family. We would absolutely love to have you. We do a little bit of everything over here on this channel. I myself am on a journey to design a life I absolutely love, on a journey to live a purpose-driven life, and I am sharing everything that I learned along the way with you all. So we share some lifestyle, we share some finance, because that is a major part of designing a life you love, financing that life that you love. So we talk all of the things over here, and we would so love to have you join. So definitely be sure to stick around if you enjoyed today's video. I have my tea, I have my notes. We're just gonna sit here and chit chat for a while because I feel like we're long overdue, and I am a big proponent of casual conversation leading to incredible insights. So I love the opportunity to just sit down and chit chat and share with you all the bits and pieces that travel through my brain and the things that I've learned and the conversations that I have with people, the things that I read, and this is exactly that. So let's chat a little bit. But before we do that, let's say a quick prayer, because I really want to bring in like a bit of my preparation, how I prepare to speak to you all. I always pray before I record a video, really before I do anything, but I think that it is going to be beneficial for all of us to be able to kind of start this video with that approach and with God's support, and then we'll go ahead and hop into the information. So let's close our eyes. Father God, we come to you right now just thanking and praising your holy and righteous name. I thank you for this day. I thank you for the opportunity to be sitting here doing exactly what I'm doing. I thank you for each and every person who is sitting behind a screen right now, God, who is sitting behind their phone screen or their TV screen or their laptop, God. I am just thankful for their life. I am thankful for the person that they are, and I'm grateful for the person that you are bending and molding and shaping them into. So I just thank you, God. I thank you for this opportunity. I ask you bless our time together. I ask that you speak and work through me, God. Let everything that I share today be of you, God, because not my will, but your will be done. These are all things we ask in your Son's holy and righteous name. Amen. In the name of Jesus, amen. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. The question that we're starting with today is time actually money? I think that we always hear this concept shared across any part of life, right? It's always time is money, and I guess we could think of time in that way if we decided to take such a limited approach, but I actually think that time is a much more valuable resource than money, and it's actually quite precious because it's something that we don't have the ability to create or generate in the way that we do money. Yes, we have to work for it. Yes, we have to do things. Yes, we have to be provided opportunity in order to generate income, but theoretically speaking, income is always going to be incoming, but time, baby, is its own thing, as is tons of other lifestyle resources that I think we tend to take for granted, and we don't consider the fact that the things that are intangible in this life, the things that we can't quantify, are actually the most valuable pieces of life. We can't quantify love, we can't quantify encouragement, we can't quantify excitement or exposure, but all of those resources are incredibly valuable, and the way in which we allocate them is equally as important as how we decide to use our money. So I think that when we think about this concept of budgeting, we're doing ourselves a disservice when we limit that only to our financial wellness and our financial accounts. I think that the same concepts that are applied to our financial accounts deserve to be applied to our lifestyle accounts. And when we look at all of our resources, whether they be lifestyle or financial resources, as the valuable resources and assets that they are, and a tool that contributes to us designing a life that we love and leading the life that God has actually called us to be and intends for us, I think that we unlock an incredible, incredible opportunity. And that is really the beauty of your personal FinStyle. Your FinStyle is comprised of your values and your unique goals, your aspirations, your dreams, what is actually important to you and what is actually right for you in your life. Dax is back there. He wants to go outside. But babes, we're talking. Like, we're having a conversation right now. Come over here. Here. Here he comes. Hey, Bubba. Hi. Come sit next to me. Sit down. All right. Say hi to the people. Say hello. Say hello. This is Dax. He's my 2-year-old Cavapoo baby, and I love him so much. He's a major part of my FinStyle, and I will say that a good chunk of my money goes to this man, okay? He's a chunk. He eats. All right? He's not cheap. Sit down. So as I was saying before we were so cutely interrupted by a little nugget, your resources, whether they be financial or lifestyle resources, all contribute to creating the life that you're meant to live. They are resources. The point of a resource is to be utilized for a specific purpose, right? A resource contributes to you being able to activate or execute on a particular task, activity, whatever, right? Like oil, gas being a resource that we use to fuel and power vehicles and machines and electricity and what have you. In the same way, your time, your energy, your consideration, your money fuels and contributes your passions and things that truly matter to you, that which comprises your personal FinStyle. Let's talk about this in action a little bit. So when we think about budgeting, we think about resources. If we simply stopped at budgeting our finances, it's not incorrect, right? But I think that we're taking a little bit of an incomplete approach and really limiting ourselves and limiting our perspective and limiting the value that a budget adds to our life and the freedom that a budget enables as a tool and as a resource in itself. So let me tell you guys a little bit of a story about the first time I remember earning an amount of money. So not a gift, not something for my birthday, not something that somebody just gave me, right? But me actually earning a sum of money. My dad gave me a task. What that task was, I absolutely positively do not remember. But what I do remember is that we had an agreed upon rate. It was $2 and your girl was hype. So I completed the task, and to my absolute shock, this man gave me a crisp $5 bill, and I was rich. You could not tell me otherwise. Baby was balling and she was ready to go spend it. So later that day, me and my dad went to the store, and I proceeded to spend every last dime that I had earned, right? All of my wealth, my newfound wealth, out the window. We spent her all. Me and my dad get back in the car. I got my stuff. I'm hyped. Pretty sure I had bought some snacks, and I was very, 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 very much excited to go eat my snacks and indulge after a hard day's work. We get in the car, and I look at my dad, and I go full gross sisters moment on this man. Hands straight out. If you know, you know. And he looks at me in with pure confusion on his face. And is like, what do you want? What's up? And I'm like, I spent my money. So I need you to give me some more money because the money is gone, and I need you to replace the money that I once had. When I tell y'all, this man laughed in my face, full whole belly laugh, threw his head back, laughed in my face. And that is one of the best things he could have ever done for me. My parents have always been really intentional about, from a young age, treating us like the adults that they wanted us to become. So they've always been really explicit. They've always been really clear. They've always been very direct and treated us like human beings in period, right? Treated us like human beings, like the way that they treat anybody in the world with kindness and love and respect. and appreciation is the way that they always treated us. But in addition to that, the way in which you talk to an adult and the level of transparency that most people give to an adult is not always what they give to children. And I'm not saying that they just, exposed us to every piece of the world. But what I'm saying is they were always really intentional about, one, teaching us and letting us learn through experiences that may have been curated, but also just natural experiences. So this is something that came up naturally, but he used it as a learning experience, and it did just that. Like, it was not by design, but when the opportunity came up, he had a choice to treat me like he would anybody else, or he could have coddled me. And I'm so grateful that he didn't, because it changed my entire life. And I can track this back to the development of FinStyle. So after he proceeds to laugh in my face, which was incredibly sobering and really helped me to understand like the levity of the situation, he says to me in the sweetest, kindest, most daddy-ish voice, "That's not how it works, baby." He said, "You earned your money, you spent your money, now you must earn your money again. And maybe next time you'll consider saving a bit of your money, only spending what you need and saving the rest, rather than going and spending it all." What a sobering realization. Like experience completely humbled me. Like, I am still sitting in this car, feet kicking. Pretty sure I was in the back seat, all right? So I was not a big girl. But the way that I am today is very much so the way that I've always been. So it landed and I understood it. And it was incredibly, incredibly, incredibly powerful. And here's what I learned from this. I had to really sit with myself in that moment. And my initial shock made me feel like, well, I don't want this. Like, I don't want anything that I just bought. Like, if I could have gone in the store and returned it all, I would have. But it just wasn't possible. I'm from Boston. We went to a little corner store or something. Once they had your money, they had your money, okay? Like, you better go ahead and just eat your Lay's chips and keep it pushing. So if I could have, I would have given it all back, because in that moment, I realized that I didn't actually value the thing that I had allocated my resources towards. In that moment, I realized that there were things that I valued more, that I appreciated more, that I could get a greater return on had I invested my money in that. And while I didn't have the words to explain it, right, the notion was still the same, right? The concept was still the same. I would have much preferred saving that money to go to the corner store with my cousins and my brother. I would have much preferred the opportunity to curate an experience with the people that I love, rather than just getting the thing. And the thing was great and it was okay, right? It was good, but there was better. There was better for me, because I knew what it is that I actually value. I spent a lot of time with my cousins growing up and my brother, and they're not just my cousins, they're my friends. And I think that's an important distinction, because some of us have family members, and yes, they are our family members, but we don't necessarily have a relationship that we have developed based on anything other than us being related. My cousins are some of my best friends, and we spent an incredible amount of time together as children. We were deeply, deeply intertwined. I always went to school with at least one of my cousins, pretty much until I went to high school, when I went to all-female high school. I'm like one of the only girls, so I had a ton of boy cousins. But up until high school, I always went to a school with my cousins. And I loved them so very much, and we were all super close, and getting to experience life and getting to grow up with them is truly one of the sweetest gifts God has ever given me, because we learned so much together, and so much about how we see the world is informed by the experiences that we had with each other growing up. One of which includes our trips to the corner store. And I can now sit back and reflect on why those trips to the corner store were so important, and why in that moment with my dad in the car, I realized that I would have much preferred allocating my resources to an experience, right? To something that held greater value to me than a bag of chips, Not saying I didn't want the chips, but there was a better way to go about getting the chips. I could have had the chips and I could have had the chips plus, right? So we would go to the corner store. It'd be the little kids and the big kids holding the little kids' hands. There's two sets of us, a set of us that are my age and then a set that are 5 years older than us. So now they're in their 30s. We're in our mid-20s and I love them deeply to this day. They are still my best friends. So we used to spend a lot of time at my grandma's house. I'm originally from Boston, grew up hanging out with my cousins at my grandma's house in Hyde Park. She had this just beautiful white house that to us seemed so big as kids, but in reality now I realize it's not as large as I thought it was. Beautiful green grass, and then this big black wrought iron fence out in the front yard, right? My grandpa kept the grass pristine, chef's kiss, and we spent every summer all day outside just running around, running the streets, living our best life. And the opportunity to go to the corner store was so sweet because it wasn't something that was just given to us, but we would typically go to the corner store when somebody had money, right? Money that we earned, maybe money that we were given, but it wasn't just a given that we were always going to go to the store and get snacks. So it was a special opportunity because it was few and far between. It was something that we typically would work for. And it was special because it gave us a level of freedom. So going to this store with my cousins was about more than just going to get a snack. It was an opportunity for the little kids to get to hang out with the big kids, for us to get to go out and do the things that they got to do. It was an opportunity for us to see the world and see what was going on outside of the confines of my grandma's black wrought iron fence, right? It was exposure and conversation and an opportunity to chat with each other and experience each other in a different way. And allocating my resources to curating those memories and those experiences just made more sense. Even though I couldn't put my finger on what it was, I couldn't verbalize it or explain it to you in the way that I'm explaining it to you now, but it made more sense. So not only did my dad teach me that valuable lesson, but the lesson was that much more sobering and that much more humbling because I realized that there were things that I valued much more deeply than what it was that I was holding in my hand. And that was the first time that I realized the consequences, quote unquote, right? Or the result, what happens when I misallocate my resources. I now didn't have the opportunity. Not to say it was never going to come again, but because I made a rash decision, I didn't have the opportunity to now experience life with my cousins in the way that I would have wanted to. Why am I telling you all of this? I think that oftentimes a lot of us operate like little Brie. We spend our resources without actually giving consideration to what we value and making intentional decisions about how we proceed to allocate those resources, whether they be financial resources or lifestyle resources. That experience with my dad made me viciously intentional about how I allocated my resources from that point on. I became a vicious saver, and not a saver just to save, but a saver in preparation to prioritize the opportunities that I valued most. I became incredibly intentional, not only about my finances, but also my energy, my consideration, my intention, my attention, and the ways in which I decided to budget those and allocate those was equally as intentional, right? So that looked like me giving my energy to things that filled me up rather than depleted me. That looked like me spending time on opportunities to be creative. That looked like me giving my consideration to things that also considered me, people that considered me, opportunities that considered me. And it made me less fearful about missing out on anything because one, what God has for me is for me, and two, I always had a level of clarity about what I actually wanted. That's what I mean when I say to you all, the way that I am is the way that I've always been. And that experience with my dad really solidified that for me, that I know what's best for myself. Like, I actually know me. And oftentimes we get caught up misallocating our resources based on information that is not customized for ourselves. We're either going off of what we've seen someone else do, or we are going off of what somebody else told us is good versus what is actually best for us. And that is what I mean when I say that budgeting unlocks a level of freedom. It is not meant to be something that holds you down or holds you back, but something that propels you forward and enables you to do the things that matter most to you. FinStyle is about understanding what it is that you value and making strategic decisions that enable you to prioritize those values. And to me, that really starts with you understanding that you plus God equal the majority, and you get to decide and discern what is right for you along with his guidance. So let's get tactical here. Let's talk about my approach, right? And the FinStyle approach to budgeting, whether it be your financial resources or your lifestyle resources. So first things first, baby, ask yourself, am I being like little Brie or do I know better, right? Am I going and making rash decisions and misallocating my resources, whether that be my money, my time, my energy, my attention, without giving any thought to how this is impacting me, right? How does this actually contribute to my personal FinStyle? Is this aligned with my personal FinStyle? What about this supports or contributes to my values, my priorities, my aspirations, my dreams, the things that are actually going to fuel me and support me leading a life that I love? So ask yourself, am I being like little Brie or do I know better? And when you know better, do better. Because sometimes we know better and we still make a conscious decision to go the other way. And I too am guilty of this, right? So give yourself some time. There's a level of introspection, there's a level of self-reflection that comes with it. But the more that you do it, the better off you will be. And I am so excited for you to have the opportunity to check in with yourself. Check in with yourself. Oftentimes, we're quick to go and ask opinions. Ask yourself, ask God. Ask God, ask yourself. To me, it's always kind of a loop, right? Like when I'm in conversation with myself, I'm also in conversation with God. Let me know if anybody else has that experience. But trust yourself, right? Something that I always tell myself is that I trust myself to make financially literate decisions that are aligned with my best interests. And you can insert financially literate, you can put anything there, right? It can be a decision about anything, but like, trust yourself. Only you know what you need. Truly, like, only you know what you need. There are some circumstances where, maybe some people have proven to not make the best decisions and perhaps they do need a little bit of support. But all things equal, if you're the type of person who is sitting down and watching this video, then I trust that you trust yourself. Like, that is that. Next up, these two kind of go hand in hand, but I don't think that it is always synonymous, right? So ask yourself, what's in it for me? And this is not a selfish question. I believe that self-preservation is not selfish. 110%, that is not debatable in my world. Self-preservation is not selfish. And also prioritizing your happiness and your joy and your fulfillment and making sure that you get what you need and have what you need to be able to go out into the world and give others what they need is not selfish. It is strategic, it is intentional, and it is purposeful. So ask yourself, what's in it for me when you are committing to things, when you are allocating resources, financial resources, lifestyle resources, when you commit time to something, when you commit energy to something, when you can commit attention and consideration to something, what is in it to you, for you? What good does gossiping serve you? Is giving your consideration and your attention to gossiping contributing to you in any way? What is in it for you? other than heartache, negativity, worry, and concern that now somebody's gonna go back and gossip about you? What is in it for you? So be cognizant and intentional about how you are allocating your resources, because if you're spending time doing something negative, then you can't be spending that time doing something positive. Though time is not a paradox. Like, you can't spend your time doing multiple things at the same, like it doesn't work like that, right? If you allocate time to one thing, then you can't be allocating time to another. So it is on you and in your best interest to be intentional about how you are allocating your resources, because it is the misallocation of resources that oftentimes makes us feel like we don't have enough of a thing. Sometimes we might not. Sometimes the math just might not be mathing, right? Sometimes we need some more income. Sometimes we need, a little bit more sleep. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes that is true. But also, sometimes it is simply true that we are mismanaging the resources that we have, which makes us feel like we never have enough. And when that is the case, enough is never going to be enough. Right? It is the same as when we say that you can never out-earn poor savings and spending habits. You can never out-earn poor lifestyle habits. You are never going to there's never going to be enough time in the world to outwork your procrastination. There's never going to be enough energy in the world to outwork or make up for your poor sleeping habits. So we have to be intentional about the ways in which we are allocating our resources so that they can be working for us instead of us constantly feeling like we're working to try to earn them back, whether that be financial or lifestyle. The same concepts hold true. And that is really the root of FinStyle. That is why my goal is never just to simply sit here and give you an Excel budget, because it is so much deeper and greater than that, right? I consider my budget in Excel to be my financial budget, but I look at my agenda in my calendar and that serves as my lifestyle budget. When I look back at my to-do list, when I look back at my calendar for the week, that is me going back and auditing my lifestyle budget to understand, how have I been spending my time? How have I been spending my energy? I audit my journal, and that gives me time to think about, how have I been talking to myself? What am I applying my energy and consideration to? Am I meditating on the things that are good and pure and kind in this world, or am I focusing on the things that eat me up inside? When I made that mistake last week, did I harp over it? Was I beating myself up and replaying the way that I messed up in that meeting? Or did I move on, right? Did I acknowledge my weakness and my imperfection as a human being and then proceed to go on and crush the rest of my day and enjoy it? And then go out and hang out with my friends later, because I deserve to live a full life. And so do you. That leads us to number 3, which is committing to reviewing your financial accounts and lifestyle accounts regularly and without judgment. So that is exactly what I was just talking about. When I sit down and I look at my budget, I like to use Rocket Money. I also use an Excel budget. That's like my hard budget, but for kind of a quick glance, I use Rocket Money. Love her down. When I sit down and I look at my budgets, whether they be my financial account or my lifestyle account, and the way that I do this is reading my journal back, reading my calendar, looking at my agenda, right? When I sit down and I look at this, I review it in a judgment-free space. I like to set a vibe, I like to enjoy the experience, and I like to really romanticize this opportunity, because I think that it truly is a gift and it's an opportunity for reflection and celebration. I celebrate the places where I have done well, and I want you to do the same thing. Celebrate where you have been succeeding. Celebrate how you've been hitting a savings goal. Celebrate how you worked out multiple times this week. Celebrate how you finished a new book. Celebrate the fact that you made some new friends because you had a FinStyle goal to create community and foster new relationships. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself and start with the celebration. Build yourself up, and in tandem, take note of the areas where you could improve, right? We're not saying the areas where you failed, the areas where you were stupid, the areas where you just really dropped the ball. No, they are areas of improvement. We could all be doing better somewhere. That is always going to be the case. So even changing your approach and your terminology to that is incredibly impactful. And I'm so proud of yourself for even considering taking this approach. Celebrate that too. Celebrate watching this video right now. So we are going to commit to reviewing our accounts regularly and without judgment. And when we notice that there is an opportunity for improvement, we are taking it a step further, because we're not just noting the area that we need to improve in, but we are going to devise a plan and put that plan into action, acknowledging that things don't always go as planned. So we have to leave room to be pliable. We have to leave room to pivot. We have to leave room to be shaped and molded and developed, and to switch up when we need to. Let's talk about an example of this, right? Let's say you sit down, you look at your budget, you've been killing it, all right? The money is moneying. The accounts are accounting. You've been saving for a down payment on a house, and you are on track to hit that goal by the end of the year. Girl, you're killing it, all right? Everything is tea, right? And then you look at your budget for eating out, and you notice, I've been spending a little bit too much. Like, I'm just a little smidgen over with. And you start to reflect, and you're like, why have I been spending so much money eating out? And then you realize, oh, well, I did have that goal to foster new relationships. I made a couple new friends, and baby, we've been brunching. Brunch has been seeing us, happy hour has been seeing us, and life has been good. So you say, dang, well, I want to keep going over on this budget. Maybe I can increase it a little bit. But you realize that the money got to come from somewhere. And sometimes the money we got is simply the money we got. Unless we're creating some other streams of income, which I am 110% here for, sometimes what we have is what we have, right? So your only option would be to move some money over from another place that you've allocated it from, and everything else is pretty much set. So your only option would be to take some money from your down payment account. And the more you think about that, you're like, that's not an option, because I made this commitment to myself to have enough by the end of the year for my down payment. And if something came up that impacted that, that would be okay, right? If there was an uncontrollable event, but me wanting to just eat out more is not a reason. It's not a reason for me to go and cannibalize my goal and my own progress. So that option's not gonna work. So you think about it a little bit more, and you're like, all right, well, I could just see those friends less, but then you run the risk of sabotaging another FinStyle goal and sabotaging something that's filling you up, which is fostering new relationships and making new friends. So you're like, that's not an option. But you're like, what else can we do? Like, we could do something else besides eating out all the time. Let's take a moment here and remember that the goal is never deprivation. So we're not saying you're cutting out eating out completely, because, you know, the girls got a brunch, okay? The girls got a brunch, but the girls got a brunch within budget. And that doesn't mean that the budget is always going to be what the budget is. It simply means that at this point in time, your financial capacity is what it is, and you're not doing any more or any less because you have other goals that you need to hit. So you take a step back and you realize, well, we do all have some wellness goals that we're trying to hit as well. And you ultimately decide that you're going to ask your friends to go for a couple walks a week, right? Still get your brunch, go to happy hour a couple days a week. And the other days you guys decide to go for a walk. And it works out. It all works out. Couple extra inches come off the waist, because that's what you were working for too. You get to spend some time outside, which was a commitment that you made to yourself, to spend more time outside after work, because screen fatigue is a real thing and we all could use a little bit more oxygen. So you and your friends go for a walk every day after work. You ultimately, or a couple days after work, you ultimately end up hitting your down payment goals, and you also continue to foster those relationships and hit your wellness goals. It is a win-win, and you have supported your FinStyle without betraying any pieces of yourself, right? There's also something to note that your friends were flexible and they were down for it. And if they weren't, if the new friends were not, then that would have told you a lot about those people as well. And that would have been something that you'd like to know sooner rather than later, right? If you had gone to them and they had said no, or they judged you for it, then perhaps those people were not the best people for you to be allocating your resources towards to begin with. You know? But that didn't happen. It worked out and they were down. And perhaps by you being brave enough to speak up for yourself and say what you need, right? And ask for that help and support, maybe you just sparked something in them, something that they needed to do the same. So that's that, babes. It feels to me like in this scenario, you really just ate that. Like the FinStyle is FinStyling, all right? What's 4 plus 4? 8 down with that one. Really did. So let's recap. Ask yourself, am I being like Little Brie or am I being better? Ask yourself, what's in it for me? And lastly, commit to reviewing your financial and lifestyle accounts regularly and without judgment, because you owe that to yourself. And every day, simply wake up and work to be intentional about your decisions. Just try your best and make the best decisions you can with the information that you have. You're never gonna know it all. You're never gonna be able to see into the future. You're never gonna be perfect. All you can do is make the best decision that you can with the information that you have at the time that you are making the decision. And it is always going to be okay. It was worked out before you even knew that it needed to be worked out. So I'm grateful for you and I love you and I thank you for watching this video, and I'm so happy to have you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give us a like and a comment down below and let me know what area of your life you are working to budget better. I would love to hear it, girl. That's it. Follow me on Instagram at @AbriaPerry. Follow us on Instagram at FinStyle Official. That makes my heart sing. Yeah, that feels like it. If you love this and you also love to read, we have a corresponding blog post, so definitely check that out down below. Also have some resources for y'all, so check everything out in the description box. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Love you down. I hope you have the best day.